Hi moms, welcome back to part 2 of this breastfeeding 101 journey. In this part, we are going to talk all about breastfeeding and pumping. I'm going to start by sharing my own experience, and then we're going to jump into some tips that will help you to increase your milk supply. Whether you're breastfeeding or pumping, there are different things that you can do to increase that milk supply. So we're going to jump right into this video. Before I jump into this video, I do want to remind everyone that I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I simply want to share my journey, my experience through nursing and pumping, my whole breastfeeding journey. And I'm going to share with you what I did, what worked for me and what didn't. Just because it worked for me doesn't mean it won't work for you. And the decisions that I made for me and my baby, you don't have to do, right? I'm not saying that you have to do them. I simply want to let you guys know what I did and what worked for us. So please make sure that you consult your OBGYN, that you speak with your child's pediatrician, and you get specific answers for you and your child's needs. So I mentioned this a little bit in part 1, but as soon as baby was born, I was able to do that skin to skin, and the nurse came and said, let's try to feed baby, which I did. He latched with a little bit of help from me and the nurse, and it felt good until I noticed that he always wanted to drink. He always wanted to stay on. He did not want to remove himself, and I started to question if he actually got any milk. A lactation consultant came in and saw that I was starting to get a little bit chapped and irritated because of the nursing. And when she checked my baby, he did have a tongue tie and a lip tie. They were minimal, she said, but they were there. And if you don't know, a tongue and lip tie in simple terms is that small bit of tissue that is underneath your tongue and underneath your lip. And when this tissue is too short or too thick, it can restrict the movement of the tongue or the lip. In my case, it was just a little bit too long, and so it was restricting from that perfect latch. I will be very honest with my birth experience. It really was not very pleasant, and so would I do it again? Yes, now I would. Now I will have another baby. But in that moment, there was a level of anxiety that I was not prepared for with all of the different things that they were throwing at me. And so when I heard that there was the option to snip this, I just didn't want to. It was a lot for me. And so I may share my entire birth story in another video, but for now, we didn't do anything to it, and we just continued breastfeeding. As a result of my son's tongue and lip tie, it was not impossible to breastfeed. It did take a little bit more time for us to learn what worked for us. And I mean, this goes for everyone, regardless of a tongue or lip tie. You have to figure out what position you're most comfortable in. How is it the easiest way for baby to latch? I hear some people say that it shouldn't hurt, and some people say that it hurts. And I think that, in my opinion, it's gonna hurt no matter what, right? At least a little bit that first time. Your body is going through something that it has never gone through before. It has never been suckled on in this way. And so, yeah, it's gonna be tender at first. But hear me when I say that they get tough very fast. They get used to it. Your body knows what it has to do now. And our bodies are amazing. Something else that worried me in the hospital was, before I even brought baby home, she brought me a pump. It was the Spectra S1, actually, the pump that I spoke about in part 1 of this video. And when I pumped, she said, pump for 15 minutes and let's see what happens. And I got nothing. I mean, not even a drop. And in that moment, I immediately got worried, and I asked myself, you know, was baby getting any milk this entire time? Is that why he always wants to stay on me and doesn't give me a break? Now, baby drinking and being hungry all the time is normal, especially for a newborn. It's normal for them to want to eat and feed every hour, 2 hours, the first couple days, first couple weeks. And so with my concern though, and in knowing my family history, I gave him formula. I said we're gonna do 1 bottle of formula a day, just so that I could make sure that he was eating. And because I knew he was eating and he was full, it gave me time to do what I had to do to work with my body, put in that work to increase my milk supply. Now, some of you may say that you don't want to give any formula at all, and that's okay too. This is just what I did because my baby, I already knew, wasn't latching properly. And because he wasn't latching properly, my milk wasn't coming in the way that I needed it to. My journey pretty much looked like this. I started breastfeeding, and then I supplemented with 1 bottle of formula a day, so that while he was drinking that, I could do tips and tricks that we're going to talk about to increase my milk supply. For the first couple of days, that 1 bottle was formula, but as I began expressing and my milk started to come in, that became breast milk. His 1 bottle a day was my breast milk. So he was still getting all of that nutrient and supplements that we want from our breast milk. It was just dad or my mom or my sisters or whatever family member feeding it to him while I was doing what I had to do. This pretty much went on for the first 5 months that I was home on maternity leave. But when I returned to work, baby became more comfortable with the bottle, and honestly, I even became more comfortable pumping. I had a good size stash in my freezer. I still do, and I'm weaning. So I went from a nursing mom to an exclusively pumping mom. That, again, is what worked best for me and my family. I made sure that as much as I enjoyed nursing exclusively, I knew that going back to work and the way that my schedule changed and baby's schedule changed, I had to find time to do what was best for me as well. I didn't have time to eat because I was busy feeding baby. And then was baby getting everything that they need if I wasn't taking care of my body? Probably not, right? We have to remember to do what's best for baby and for ourselves as well. You can't take care of baby if you don't take care of you. So my son's about to turn 1, and I can honestly say that I took control of how my journey went by using these tips, and it was great. So now let's move on to some of those tips to increase your milk supply. My first immediate tip is to have the correct pump and flange size and to use it. In the first video, I talked about how flange size on your pump can impact how much milk you produce, because with the wrong flange size, your pump is not taking out as much milk as it can. In the same way, your baby's latch works. So if they're not taking out as much milk as your body has, then your body is going to tell itself that baby doesn't need that milk and that it slows down production instead of increasing like we want it to. So I had all of these things that I needed from the very beginning. I had the proper flange size. I had the pump before baby was born. If you did not watch my last video, please go ahead and watch that one first, because it's going to tell you how to do these things so that you can implement pretty much all of these tips. Okay. Again, I started with a bottle once a day, and it was formula in the beginning, and then I was able to switch that bottle to breast milk thanks to everything that I had expressed. I would pump when baby was feeding, when baby was drinking a bottle, because he was hungry, so I needed to tell my body that baby was hungry. My body needed to know that. When you pump, it's also important what modes you use. I started pumping using the massage mode. On the Spectra 1 and 2, it has 3 lines that you would press to change the mode from massage to expression. I'm speaking about the actual one that I used, right? And so I would stay on the massage mode until my milk started to flow. And then after my milk started to flow and I had a letdown, I would switch to expression mode. On expression mode, I was usually around number 50 or 54, and I would use a very low suction in the beginning. You're going to use a low suction in the beginning because, again, you have to get used to it. Your body has to get used to this new movement and motion that it's doing that it hasn't done. And that friction and rubbing, it's gonna hurt. And so I really stayed on the vacuum suction level of 1 or 2 in the beginning. I made it all the way up to 8 or 9 by the end of this journey. Now I'm around 5 or 6 because I am starting to slow down my milk production, and so I'm not pumping as much. And so again, it can be pretty sensitive. And so use the suction level that you are most comfortable at. Just make sure that you start with the massage mode so that you have that let down comfortably. Then you go to expression mode to get it all out. And then something that I did, and this is super important, once you see the milk flow stops, go back to massage mode and you're sort of starting over. You're telling your body to make more. You're telling your body that you're not done. And then when you have that let down again, let down 2, go back to expression mode again until you get it all out. Pump for anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes. In the beginning, you're gonna wanna pump for this long, 25 to 30 minutes. You may hear some people say they're pumping for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and that's fine if you are making the amount of milk that you want to make. Once you get to that point, it won't be as long of pumping sessions. But you right now are telling your body that you need to make more milk, that you need more. So you need to pump for longer. You may have pumping sessions where you have only one let down, so you go from massage mode to expression mode, and then you go back to massage mode and nothing happens. That happens, okay? But you just have to keep going until you've done it for 25 to 30 minutes, even if nothing's coming out, because you are sending a message to your body to make more. You're saying, look, I'm trying to get more and there's nothing, make more. We want to sort of trick our body throughout this time, and that's what you're doing by pumping for a longer period of time. Add more pumping sessions. In those first early weeks of postpartum, a good number of milk removals is at least 7 or 8. This tip is for nursing and pumping mothers. So if you're exclusively pumping, you want to have 7 to 8 milk removals, and that's from both sides, right? So at the same time, 7 to 8 times in 24 hours, okay? If you're nursing, nurse the way you would your baby and add 1 to 2 pumping sessions after you nurse them a day, okay? So you'll nurse them, and after you nurse them, pump. Now this pump does not have to be 30 minutes, right? Because you just finished nursing them for however amount of time. This pump only needs to be about 10 minutes or so. And again, you're tricking your mind. You're telling your body, yes, I just nursed, but I'm not done. Baby might be done, but you're telling your body, nope, we're not done. We need more. And this is going to, again, help your body make more. It's going to think we just ended, but we want to keep going. So remember, if you're just pumping 7 to 8 times a day from both sides, if you're nursing, nurse the way you would and add 1 to 2 sessions after you nurse, immediately after. You want to add a power pump to your schedule. So you might be saying, power pumps, what is that? A power pump can be pretty time consuming. It's pretty difficult because it consumes an hour of your day. So this is where it comes into mamas have to make sacrifices and reschedule things so that we can increase our milk supply for our baby. You're gonna wanna do this at least once a day, and it's gonna take the place of one of those 7 to 8 pumps that you're doing already. So you might say, what is a power pump? If you haven't heard of a power pump pretty much starts with 20 minutes of pumping. Then you go into a 10-minute break, 10 minutes of pumping after that break, another break, and another 10 minutes. So you are actually pumping for 40 minutes, and then you're taking 20 minutes of breaks. That's where that hour comes from, okay? 20 minutes is what we start with, 10-minute break, 10-minute pumping, 10-minute break, 10-minute pumping. That is what a power pump is. Now, again, it can be pretty difficult. I usually do this while baby is napping. I have my water with me, I turn on an episode of my favorite show, and I just relax. You only have to do a power pump for about 7 days. I would say give it a week. After that week of adding a power pump, turning one of those sessions into the power pump, so it's not like we're doing 9 sessions now. Stick to your 8 sessions. Just change one of them into a power pump for 1 week. Then see how your milk flow goes, you know, see how that goes. After 2 weeks, you want to give another boost, do another week of a power pump. You don't want to do it every day because it can become irritable. So you don't want to make this a long-term thing. You also don't have to. Why are we going to do things that we don't have to do? Just do it for 7 days in a row, take a 2-week break, and if you think you need to do it again, do it for another week. Is to drink water and to eat. You are going to see so many advertisements for things like lactation cookies, supplements, tea. I myself have tried all of these, and I never really noticed a huge difference in my supply. Now, what I did notice made a difference was the days that I drank water versus the days that I did not. Now, I'm a teacher, so I am that teacher that's always walking around with my big 40-ounce cup. It's super normal for me to have this with me. But I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I was just walking around with it and I was not drinking from it. And so my milk supply showed that. Water, it makes a huge difference in how much milk we produce. So make sure you are staying hydrated. That is what's gonna help you. Don't spend money on all these other things if you don't want to. Just drink a lot of water. You can also drink things like body armor. I did. I drank the sugar-free ones, but I also wasn't taking sugar I didn't need. The liquid IV packets. Get some of those and add them to a water bottle. That way you're making sure that your body is staying hydrated. The other thing was to eat. When I say eat, I don't mean to overeat, right? But something that we mothers try to do after having a baby, and it's normal, is to watch our calorie intake. We're trying to get our body back to the way it was pre-baby. I get it. I'm still there trying to do the same thing. But similar to how not drinking enough water made a difference in my milk supply, on the days that I was trying to cut back and I thought I was gonna start a diet and I'm having just chicken salads, I noticed that in my milk supply, okay? So you can make healthy choices. Just don't cut everything out. Your body needs that food. It needs those carbs that you say you're not gonna have. It needs the starch, it needs the sugar. It needs that to make this milk that we're making from our body. Have snacks like granola bars and fruits and the occasional ice cream, that's fine. Again, we are taking from our body when we express milk. And if we're not replenishing our body, then there's nothing to make that milk. And we have to remember that. It's probably not something that you guys wanted to hear, but it's part of the sacrifice that we make as mothers for our babies. Do not stress about it. Sometimes this can be a mental thing. So putting on some relaxing music, watch a TV show, like I said earlier, that you enjoy, and just relaxing. Maybe take a bath before you start pumping. It can all make a difference. Another thing you can do, stop looking at the bottle when you pump to see if anything is coming out. A lot of things that I would do is I would look at it and ask myself, did I fill the bottle already? Just stop looking at it. Sometimes I would throw my cover on while I'm at home, just so that I wouldn't look at it. And don't focus on that. You put pressure on your body and your body feels that. And that itself can sometimes have an effect on it. A little trick that I tried was putting a sock and covering the bottle while I was pumping. That way I really wouldn't even be able to look at it if I wanted to. And then you take it off and see what your body did. Let your body just work its magic. Is don't compare yourself to others. With everyone posting now all of their different, even just a daily vlog. It doesn't even have to be on purpose that they do it, but you're watching all of these videos of moms and it's natural. Them pumping, them nursing, them going about their day. And what ends up happening without you even noticing is you're paying attention to how much milk they're producing. And it's very easy to ask yourself, why can't I produce that much? Even if it's not videos that you're watching, but just your mom friends. You have to remember that everyone's experience is different. Everyone produces a different amount. The average output from both sides during a pumping session is anywhere from 2 to 4 ounces. So when you see these mothers that are producing 8, 10 ounces, do not fret, okay? Do not pay too much attention to those things. From my own experience, when I was working and I got pregnant, at my job, there were 4 other staff members that were also pregnant. And all of us went through our journey. We all experienced different things. For me, I even was pumping with one of them at the same time because that's how our schedules happened to work. And I specifically remember seeing how much she pumped and comparing it to how much I pumped. And it was frustrating and it was disappointing, and I wondered why I couldn't produce that much. Why wasn't I that lucky? But I also paid attention to the fact that my body is doing what my baby needs. My body is going to give me what my baby needs. I had a coworker who would pump in one session easily 12 ounces with no problem. And that was in just 15 minutes. If she would have pumped for 30 minutes, it would be even more. And it was always these 2 full bottles, and I would get combined about 6 ounces, you know? And so what I also noticed was her baby, who was 4 months younger than my baby. And, you know, typically if you hear of a formula feeding baby, they drink less and they increase the amount as they grow older of how much formula they intake. Well, her baby, who was 4 months younger than my son, would drink 8 to 10 ounces each feeding. So she was making more and her baby needed more. Also, the quality of your milk changes. So her 10 ounces might not have as much fat as mine does. So it may not be as filling as mine does. And the reason that I say this is, again, I'm not a doctor or medical professional, but my son, who is now about to be a year old, when it's my breast milk, he still only needs about 5 to 6 ounces per feeding, and he's fine. So my milk is enough for him. That 5 or 6 that I'm making may not be the 12 ounces that somebody else is making, but that's how much he needs per feeding. So I was making exactly how much he needs a feeding. And then if I pump more, I have more milk that I can freeze away. She was making that much, but he needed that much. So her milk was enough for what he needed. You are going to make enough for your baby. And just because you don't have a freezer stash does not mean that you're not making enough. Your baby is fed. And that is what we want, is a fed baby. Our goal here is not to have a whole bunch of extra milk in the freezer, because we know that freezer milk does not last forever either. So moms, whatever you're doing for your baby is perfect for your baby. Do not compare them to anyone else. Your experience is your experience. Your journey is your journey. What's best for you is best for you and your baby. Okay? Do not compare that to anyone else. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If your experience was different, share that down below. Maybe a mom wants to hear about it. If you completely disagree with me, that's fine too. Leave it in the comments below. Remember, this is a video full of my opinions, my experience. You can take from it whatever you may want to take from it or not. This is what I did to increase my milk supply, and it worked, and my baby did not require formula until honestly the past week that I am starting to slow down. I will make another separate video about that. If you are ready to stop pumping and you want to avoid clogged ducts and all of that, please drop a comment down below, like this video, share it, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching again, and to all you mamas out there, good luck. You're doing amazing.